Hello out there, and today we're going to be talking about Spyderco, specifically some of the frustrations that I have gotten from them recently, some of the things that are building up just because of the directions that I see the company moving in. And first and foremost, guys, you all know I really love Spyderco. This channel has succeeded in many ways because of Spyderco knives that have come out. I mean, to be honest, we all know that the Sage 5 was the catalyst for this channel even existing. So my love for Spyderco goes very far back, and that's not going to change. But some of the things that I'm seeing in the way that they're manufacturing knives and some of the things that they're producing and the directions that they're going and the price increases, they're just a little bit unsettling, and it's sort of changing the landscape of who I think this company is for. And it's a little bit disappointing, and it's definitely not the way that it was when I first got into Spyderco, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And so today what I want to do is just talk about that. I just want to share, my take on it. And I know there have been other people who've done videos like this before and talked about some of the negative things going on with Spyderco. I'm not really trying to bash them. What I would like to do today though is just start the conversation with you guys, and I know there's going to be plenty of people who are Spyderco fans, that just don't want to hear anything negative about the company, that just hit the dislike button and move on. And that's great. You're welcome to do that, but if you want to be more constructive and have a conversation about it, I definitely want to have that conversation. That's why I'm here. So definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But the two main things, well, the first one that is just concerning for me is I feel like the new product development with Spyderco has just gotten boring. It's just gotten boring. A couple weeks ago, I was going to post a video called Spyderco is boring, true story, right? And it made no sense to do that because as soon as I was formulating that video, the Siren came out and the Watu came out. So they finally come out with some new models after a big, blank period of time. And so it would make no sense to say they're boring at that point. But overall, when I look back at Spyderco since the beginning of the Reveal system, I mean, they just have not been putting out a lot of new, innovative stuff. And that's what was such a draw to me when I first got into them, was they were doing stuff that was just out there. It was different. Everybody who looked at Spyderco had a different idea of what their flagship model was, if that makes sense. There are people who are into the Delicas, the PM2s, the Manixes. There's so many different good EDC knives, but on top of that, all of the different I'm trying to think of some of the overbuilt and just crazy designs that they were putting out too. There was one, was it the Battle Station or the Battle Star and stuff? There's some bigger things that just didn't appeal to me, but you could tell that all walks of life were being drawn into Spyderco, and everybody had a different reason for it. And now it just seems like almost everything that's coming out is a variation of something that's already been out. So I'm going to consult a list because I wrote a lot of stuff down for this. But since the Reveal, right, the actual Reveal system started, and I think Reveal 5 is the latest one, and that came out a few weeks ago. Since that started, the number of actual brand new designs that I've seen the Smock come out, which was actually announced before the Reveal system, so I don't know that that really counts. But the Akuchi, the Siren, the Watu, and then we've had the Z-Cut and the Counter Puppy, which they're kitchen knives, but those are both pretty cool models, so I'll give them a little bit of credit for that. But in a year and a half, those are the only brand new, not takes on pre-existing designs that I've seen. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if something new has gone by me, But I'm not counting stuff like the Native Chief, the Indela, the Insistent, and the Emphasis, which are takes on the Efficient, the Pair 3 Lightweight, the Dragonfly Warney, the Stage 5 Lightweight. A lot of this stuff has come out, and that's all exciting and well and good, but it's variations on stuff that already exists. And yes, they have an excellent catalog, and I want to see more stuff like that, but I don't want them to stop being innovative. If you talk about 5 brand new designs over the course of a year and change, and that's just it just isn't enough. It isn't enough to keep me interested, and it feels like, and we're going to continue to hit on this point as we go, it feels like they're catering now to a collection market and not at all to I'm new to knives, get me a good knife market. And what I mean by that is that, like, how many people who already have a pair of 3 are going to buy a pair of 3 lightweight? And guys, yeah, I'm holding my PM2 just because I wanted to have a Spyderco in the video, so I'm just not really doing anything with it. But the point is, how many people who already have a pair of 3 are going to get a pair of 3 lightweight? Those are going to be collector people. Or maybe someone might sell their pair of 3 and get the pair of 3 lightweight and maybe make an extra couple bucks if they really prefer the characteristics of the lightweight version. But what I'm getting at is, you know, that kind of stuff is really, these are like luxury items, you know, and if you do have a collection, maybe chances are you're looking for a little bit more like diversity in it than just getting a whole bunch of different pair of 3s and, you know, different variations of the Dragonfly Warnie. The people who do that, it's awesome, and I love seeing those pictures of people who have like the whole spectrum of things. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to who we're marketing to with some of this stuff, you know, unless you're new to Spyderco and now you have a choice, which is definitely a good thing, like, who really is that for? You know, and so what I think is, like, the new design is what really drives and should drive people to continue to purchase and be interested, unless you're just doing things from a collection standpoint. So that said, there are a number of new stuff, new items that have been announced that haven't quite come out yet with, like, the new reveals. Stuff like, cats, Jesus. Stuff like the Rock Jumper, which is sort of a take on previous models, the Swayback, the Bombshell, the Spy Op. There's a number of stuff. The Canis too, which looks pretty interesting to me. But the other thing about it is that, all right, so these are announced in the reveal now, but when are we actually going to see them? I feel like the reveal system has been a complete failure. It's been an absolute failure with the way that they're doing things, because the idea was, all right, so we're not going to announce knives until they're almost ready to be released. And that way, if we don't put them in the catalog in January, we don't have people waiting for an entire year for them to come out. The distributors don't get confused with stuff. And what was happening was, like, stuff that was announced at 2018 wasn't coming out till 2019, so there was this huge delay, right? It's happening still, just on a different level with the reveal system. And I think the other companies, and like, whether you consider Kershaw and CRKT competitors of Spyderco or not, that's up to you, just depending on how you look at things. It's really a matter of, are they competing for your money? And CRKT and Kershaw, what they're doing is they're releasing a ton of knives right at the beginning of the year, January. Here they are, you know? So if you're someone who sees the reveal from Spyderco, and then you have 10 CRKT models that came out and 4 of them are pretty appealing to you, are you just going to sit on your money and wait for that Spyderco, which you might be able to get when it comes out and you might not because it's going to sell out so quickly and then you have to wait for another run of it? Or are you just going to buy CRKTs and Kershaws? Honestly, I think what CRKT and Kershaw is doing, like, and then sort of releasing stuff sporadically throughout the year, they're doing it the right way. I mean, they're finding a way to make themselves the highlight, the centerpiece of a big period of time when people, you know, even though it's like right after the holidays, I think that January, February time frame when all their stuff comes out, it's smart. And what Spyderco is doing is just, I don't know, I'm not going to go so far as to say they're shitting the bed, but I mean, if you have a knife from the Reveal 2 that's just coming out, or the Reveal 3 that's just coming out like 6 months later, you know, a lot of people, maybe not Spyderco collectors, but a lot of people are sitting on some money trying to save for it. And then when the knife doesn't come out, like, if you want a knife, you're going to spend that money elsewhere. And what I think is happening, and we're going to continue, like I said, to hit on this point, what I think is happening is that the certain area of the marketplace is just not getting to Spyderco anymore. That's one of the reasons. Because by the time the knife comes out, like, who always has money right there ready to go? The collector. The person who always has money right there ready to go. Who's definitely getting this knife, and the next knife, and the knife after that. You know, and those are the people that are getting the knives first. You know, and if all I'm doing is looking for an EDC knife, and geez, that new Spyderco looks pretty good, am I really going to wait 6-7 months for it to come out? Or am I just going to go buy one of the new CRKTs or Kershaws that's like back in stock? That's one way that I'm looking at it. The other thing with them becoming boring is it's sort of a sprint run kind of thing. And there's a lot of talk with sprint runs and how inaccessible they are to just regular people unless you're going to, sit on the website and be there in the moment when they come out. That's definitely a collector thing too, right? I mean, to be honest, if you have knives coming out, if you have paramilitary 2s in every shape and size that are out there, not size, but you know what I mean, every steel and every color that's out there, you have them coming out constantly. Who's buying them? Like, who's really buying them? And it just seems like that has become the whole identity of the company. I love the variations. I love the idea that Spyderco is, you can't even call Spyderco a pioneer when it comes to steel, because saying the word pioneer indicates that like someone is following in their footsteps. Spyderco is doing stuff that nobody else is doing and nobody else has plans to do. They're innovative with steels in a way that nobody else is. What I would like to see, I mean, what would work and make sense to me is that, like, yes, you put everything on the same platform. If you put the same, or if you use the same platform, this PM2, and use a ton of different steels, then for someone who's actually testing them and getting them and using them, that's the best way to really determine how one performs over another, right? For my use, dude, this could be S30V. It's M4, it could be S30V. It still does everything I need it to do. So like, do I really need M4? Do I need K390? Do I need Spy 27 or whatever the new stuff is, Rex 45, S995VN? I don't need that stuff, right? What I would like though, and if you're a steel person, like a big steel person, let me know if this idea would appeal to you. So what would be great is if some of these really fancy designer steels weren't just put on sprint runs. If you want to get people interested in a steel, make a new model and put the steel on that, right? I mean, think about what LC200N did with the Spidey Chef. That's exactly the stuff that I think they need to be doing, is like, get a new model and put that Spy 27 on that. You'll sell the shit out of that model because people want to try the steel, right? It'll bring more awareness to the steel. It'll get people who can't get the sprint runs, like, an opportunity to try that steel out. That is just like, for me, it's common sense. And when I'm looking at what Spyderco is doing, I'm like, why aren't they using this to their benefit? Because they have all these resources, and the way that they're just like shuttling them out, it just doesn't seem like it's something that is trying to include a big variety of people. It's like, all right, well, we're making a good amount of money on these sprint runs. The collectors haven't slowed down. Let's just keep doing those. And that's what it seems like. And as cool as it is that they're innovative with the steel, you need a place to put the steel out. Obviously, you have platform, you're doing the stuff in the United States, like you're going to use a US model. I get that to an extent, but I mean, let's try something else. Why not? And that brings me sort of to the last point about inclusion in the marketplace, and it's about price. It's about the price of things, and how Spyderco has sort of gone from, they've gone from being like an entryway point for some knife people and collectors to being really hard to be accessible for a lot of people. Sorry, I'm going to grab notes again. So a lot of people have talked about Spyderco price increases, right? And I'm not sure who's touched on this aspect of it, but what concerns me isn't so much that a Spyderco knife that was $130 will now be $160. Like that, if I have my mindset on getting that knife, and most people who have their mindset on getting that knife at $130 will probably find a way to get it at $160 if you want it enough. That's how I feel about that. The big concern for me is that people who are new to knives are just not going to look at Spyderco the way that I did when I got into them. And that's a shame, because Spyderco was this amazing company that was putting out the most popular knives on the planet that I just couldn't wait till I was able to afford them, When I'm looking at things and the notes that I have just the Tenacious, the price range on the Tenacious has just gone up over the last, 5, 6, 7 years to the point where they're all right around $50. The lightweight version is $50. And the G10 version, which hasn't changed at all as far as I know, it hasn't changed at all in in the past 5+ years is like 55, almost close to 60 for some of the variations. And the thing about that is that like when I got into Spyderco, they were right around 40, a little less, I think 38 bucks, something like that. And that was a lot of money for me to spend on a knife. The reason why when I do a budget knife review, my budget knives are under $30 is because I have a real understanding of the people who watch knife videos and are interested in knives, but you're really just getting a knife for EDC, and like $30 to spend on a knife is a lot of money if you don't spend money on knives, if that's not like your one true hobby. People have other stuff going on. So 30 bucks like can be the ceiling for a budget knife, and it still should be, in my opinion. So when you're sort of pricing stuff out, I remember myself when I was getting like Gerbers and then stopped with Gerber, and then I was getting Kershaws. And I was like, all right, well, I've got these like $20-something Kershaws I'm going to save. I'm going to get my first like Spyderco. I got an Ambitious. The only reason why I got an Ambitious instead of a Tenacious was that it was like a smaller knife, but also it was like 10 bucks cheaper, and it was less than $30 at the time. And now all those knives are just a little bit harder for people to get to. Has there been inflation in that amount of time? Sure. Has there been that much? No. And so the entryway, it's a gateway knife, the Tenacious, right? How many people who are watching this video right now had so much of it start with the Tenacious? I can't tell you how many comments, how many threads I've read where people are like, my first real knife was the Tenacious, right? And then they went from there and everything snowballed. In this day and age, maybe less people, unfortunately. Maybe less people. And that was the way that you got your foot in the door with Spyderco and got an understanding of, all right, this is what they are. This is a pretty darn good knife for the price. Now I want to look at their catalog and see what else they have. Now I want to see, what am I going to save for next? What's my next Spyderco? Because that's always what it is, right? What's the next thing? And with the Tenacious just going up in price, like can't we just find a way to make the money that we need to make, but still keep a few systems in place in order to like bring more people in as a whole and not just continually satisfy the people that we have? And that's a huge concern, and that's the thing that I'm looking at is like, man, Tenacious being $50-something. I mean, I paid $50-something for my first Tenacious because I bought it in a store. I don't know why I did, because I knew I could get it for like $15 less online. But I bought it in a store at like a Bass Pro Shops or something like that, where everything is overpriced. And now that overpriced mark is like sort of the baseline for the model. The other really big bad one is the Delica. And again, that Delica, if you go from the Tenacious to the Delica, then up to like PM2s, Para 3s, that sort of thing, the Delica is a stepping stone. And at this point, they're $84. So 84 bucks is a lot of money. I bought mine, I remember exactly when I bought it. I actually looked it up on Amazon because I have all my order history. I ordered my Spyderco Delica, my first one, my purple one, on December 26th, 2013. And I know that because for Christmas that year, I 100% knew that my wife was going to be getting me a Delica. And so I hadn't purchased one. I was super excited to be getting it. I was like, I'm getting my Delica, I can't wait. And on Christmas Day, I opened up my knife and she had gotten me a Centofonte 3. And the Centofonte 3 ended up being a knife that I loved way more than I could ever love the Delica. But I'd been expecting the Delica, and as much as I wanted that Centofonte, I ordered the Delica the next day. Guess how much I paid for the Delica? December 26, 2013. 57 bucks. It was $57. I think the Centofonte was right around 55, 60 bucks too. They were like the same price. And that's changed. When you think about it, like that's only $10 more than a Tenacious is now. The Delica now is $84. $84. It's a Delica 4. It's the same incarnation of the knife. I don't know that there's been any CQI that I know of. So like the knife hasn't changed. It's just gone up $27. And yeah, we're talking about 6.5 years. But again, like how much have your finances, how much inflation have we seen in the marketplace with what we're receiving versus how that product has increased in price? What I'm getting at is that it just caters to a different audience now. And so the person who was like, all right, I'm the me from 10 years ago or however long ago that was, like who goes from Gerbers to Kershaw's to CRKTs, and then I'm gonna get my first Spyderco, and then I'm gonna make that jump to a Delica at $60 or less, you know, and then you're gonna go into the paramilitary too. Like, that world isn't here anymore, and that's frustrating because as much as I love the company and I'm always going to be interested in what they do next, I love even more than that the idea that people are going to be able to get these knives and like them and have the same kind of experience that I did. And more it looks like that experience is just not going to be there. And people who are new to the knife game are going to be going in different directions with the level of competition and how that's raising. And sure, CRKTs and Kershaw's are going up in price, but you still have a lot of knives that they're putting out that are much cheaper, same materials. And so like it's hard to endorse the direction that I'm seeing when other companies are just doing it better. And that's unusual for me to think, because for me, Spyderco has always been like, they've got it right, you know, and the things that they're doing, they do them extremely well, right? I mean, that there's no debating that, but I just think it's a philosophy and a direction that is not all-inclusive the way that it was. And maybe it never was meant to be all-inclusive, but it certainly felt that way. And there was a community of people who was constantly like budget knife people who were like, man, I'm gonna get my first Delica, and then people were excited for you when you got your Delica. You know, and then like you get your paramilitary too, and now you're part of like a different group. And maybe I've just changed groups and I don't know what it's like in one like niche versus the other. Maybe that's the case, and maybe I'm completely off here. But what I see is a change in the direction that is just not ideal. So those are my thoughts, guys. That's my take. Any questions you have, comments, complaints, suggestions, please let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to talk with you. I'm looking forward to what you think and how you see the direction of Spyderco. All right? Thanks very much, guys. Have a good one.